Hi, welcome to my office. Hanging out in Boracay for the week on White Beach. Beautiful, as you can see. This is the world's biggest swimming pool. That's what I call it anyway. I'm Dennis from Groove Art. I make music while wandering the world. When I'm wandering the world, I bring my music gear with me because I'm writing songs all the time. And I thought I'd share with you a little bit about what I bring and how I deal with all that stuff. I'll give you a quick tour of Boracay in a second, but let me just talk to you a little bit about my gear. I'm pretty selective with the gear that I bring, that I travel with, so I thought I'd share that with you. But first, why do I even bring my gear with me? Well, I don't spend a lot of time in one place. I'm moving around a lot, and I like to have a bit of an environment with me. Even the ability to do recordings and demo recordings and things like that. So I do have quite a bit of stuff to carry and bring with me. And the reason I do that is because I need to have my tools while I am composing. So I have with me a 49 key keyboard and a guitar. Those are my two main instruments. I play bass, but I don't have the luxury of carrying one around. The guitar is quite unique in that it folds down into a backpack. So I'll show you that in a few minutes. So with my tools, I'm able to compose, but I'm also able to practice. I'm forever learning guitar and forever working on vocals. So I have those things, microphones and audio interfaces and so on, to be able to do that. One consideration is going to be cost. I don't bring the most expensive gear with me. I buy products that are readily available in most major cities should I need to replace them. So I don't bring any specialty guitars or anything like that with me. Portability is also really important. Even so, with all the gear that I have, it breaks down into 2 large suitcases. So I do actually travel quite heavy. There are some baggage fees that I have to pay extra for. But to me, that's just the cost of doing what I do. And I don't try not to fret about it too much. But portability and packability is huge. So it has to be able to pack away quickly, neatly, and safely. So I've come up with a system in order to do that. And I'll show that to you again once we get back into my other office. Connections. I'm talking about connections. I don't mean connections, people connections. I mean physical connections, wiring things together. Those are just as important as my gear, sometimes more important. I can have all the gear in the world, but if I can't connect it to my computer or connect it to each other, it's a no-go. I have gone to some places off the beaten path where I'm not going to be able to find a specific cable. So I am very particular on the cables that I bring and that they work properly. I'm in the process right now of cycling one of them out because it doesn't seem to work very well when it's connected to my computer. So I have ordered up some new ones. It's really important when I'm on the road, as I normally am, my gear has to be reliable. It has to all work simply. Fun little fact is I actually have 4 or 5 replicas of gear, and I station them throughout different parts of the world that I am visiting, so that I don't necessarily have to bring everything. So for example, in Brazil right now, I have a whole bunch of gear stashed away at a friend's house and in storage lockers ready for me for when I come back. So that's a little bit, something a little bit over the top that I end up doing. So let's go into the office. Let's go inside and take a look at some of the gear. Okay, so we're in from the beach.
out of the warm sun and into the hotel room for a few minutes. We'll get back out there soon. Let me run through my setup for you, my traveling music studio. We'll start kind of on this side of my desk, and we'll work across. It's a big mess. That's kind of how it is when I'm running around, and it's not really about neat and tidiness. It's all about speed, getting things set up quickly. So it is a bit of a mess. Apologize for that. It's not normally how I live, but it is how I live when I'm on the road like this, which is often. So the brains of the operation is the MacBook Pro. This is a Apple M3 Pro. It's got the M3 Pro chip in there. I've got 36 gig of RAM in there. I normally only like to have 32, but in this configuration, it didn't work out that way. It's multiples of whatever that is, but 32 was not an option. I can't remember in this year's configuration if it was 16, 24, and 36. It was probably 18 or something along the lines. It's 18 or 36. So this is my MacBook Pro. Environment-wise, I am running my main two pieces of software that I run as my basic setup. I use Studio One. This is version 7, the latest version. I am definitely not a DAW expert. I use it and I know how to get around it reasonably well for what I need to do, but there's a whole bunch of features that I am not making use of. Just because I don't have time and energy to learn everything. I'm trying to learn a whole bunch of instruments. So the DAW, I wouldn't say I'm weak at it, but I also wouldn't say I'm really strong. So anyway, Studio One is what I'm running. With 36 gig of RAM, I have had no issues. The use case for me that I'm using it for is mostly for demos and practicing. So kind of the cycle that I run through is I'm songwriting, and I'm creating a demo that I can go back and record at a later time. So everything is plugins, as we'll talk about in a second. Everything is kind of softer instruments. I do have some acoustic or electric guitar and bass I have access to sometimes. So those audio information will go into the system. So it does just fine for that. I could have used basically any DAW. Well, we can all use any DAW for what I'm doing, but as we'll talk about in this few minutes, I have kind of a standardized setup, and I have I have some of this gear in multiple locations throughout the world where I travel, and I want to be able to just plug it in and have it behave the same way. So I've decided to streamline and settle on the same gear, which is really important when you're moving around. You need your gear to be working all the time and easy to set up, and I want to spend the least amount of time possible troubleshooting and trying to figure out why this doesn't work. And if I have a piece of gear or a piece of software that's not playing well, I do not want to spend time. I have had plugins on here that don't play, and I just have to get rid of them. As much as I want to use them, I couldn't use it. So for example, I was really excited to be using the Rhodes electric piano plugin they have, but it just crashes my system, and I don't have time to go on forums and troubleshoot. If anyone else knows a simple solution, please let me know. I'd love to bring it back, but at this point it's not in, because it's kind of like a concert tour. The things that don't work, got to get rid of them. I just don't have time or patience, so I kind of run as streamlined as I can. So Studio One's in there mostly because I have a lot of other PreSonus equipment. In Vancouver, I have a big board over there, and I like that integration with Studio One. So Studio One is what I go on the road with. The other piece of software, which is about a year, it's been with me for about a year, probably not quite a year, but I learned about it I guess about 6 to 8 months ago, and I've been using it. It's called Gig Performer. I'm not going to go into detail here, but it's basically, how do I explain it? Maybe it's a plugin environment, maybe it's a gear equipment center of the universe for all your gear. So it allows your gear to talk to each other and have access to MIDI control from different devices onto different devices. Again, this piece of software, I certainly do not use it to its full potential, not at all. But it's kind of a unifier for me for my environment. I don't perform live. I'm not on the road performing, which I think is probably its main use, where especially keyboard players or anyone who's dealing with MIDI, we can have one-touch control with knobs and buttons and little switches and so on. And the nice thing about that, as we see here, is that these buttons that we see here, this is an interface that I created. Those actually map to keys on my keyboard. So I can be starting and stopping. Of course, it's not working right now. I probably don't have it properly configured, but I can start and stop it from different, it's a real mess here. I can start and stop it from different MIDI devices. So that's the beauty of it. So what I like to do is I like to be able to plug this keyboard into the computer. I got my audio interface. We'll take a look at that in a second. And I want to be able to just practice and have a drum beat going at 120 clicks or what have you. And I have all of that available as soon as this boots up. This Gig Performer boots up really quickly. At least in my configuration, I don't have it scan all the plugins at every single time I open it up. So it's kind of a fast way for me to get up and running. I used to use my DAW for this. So starting up Studio One, opening up my metronome/drum track file, and then clicking through and hitting play with the mouse. Actually, in that environment, I could use it. I could map the controls to my keyboard, but it's just a big, heavy piece of software, and it's meant for recording and live playing, where it's meant for live playing, but it serves a different purpose, and I find it much lighter. And so this is kind of my go-to. I've mapped different plugins to it so that, again, I should have probably had everything up and running. I think my MIDI, I have to reboot the machine, but my MIDI is off right now. The machine goes up and down all day long, and so I think it's mis-synchronized right now at this point. But as soon as this software is up and running, I have keys. I've put in a electric piano in here. I have piano and bass, MIDI bass. Sometimes I don't have a bass with me, but I'm working on a song and I want to have the ability to know what it's going to sound like, or I'm working on an idea and I just need a bass sound, quick and dirty. So I've got kind of that in here. I also have a MIDI file of drum tracks, like really simple drum tracks, which are basically metronomes for me. And I can use that to go select different drum tracks. Okay, so we're back. I just had to unplug it and plug it back in, and it's working fine. So here, if I turn on, make sure I can see that. If I turn on my piano sound, I've got that mapped to an Arturia Piano V type of thing. And if I don't want that, my other favorite keyboard sound is going to be some keyboard sounds. Sorry, some stage piano, electronic piano. So I believe this is also from the Arturia V collection. I can turn those off. Again, I've created this. If I need a bass, I've got this mapped to Ample Bass, one of the Ample Bass plugins. So this is a quick and dirty environment, and as I say, this comes up really quick. It comes up faster than my DAW, and I just have this up and running. I can start it and stop it. Again, I've got it mapped to these controls here, so I can start, stop. If I need to record on my DAW, that'll go into Studio One if I need to, but I have all these things mapped here on Gig Performer. And it's just nice. If I can not have to touch my keyboard, and mouse on the computer, that's great. I might have a guitar or a bass slung around me, and it's much easier just to come over here and hit stop or start. Go to the next. I'm just hit next here. I have that mapped to next. So I've got the next MIDI file. And so that's just another 4 on the floor drum beat, but with 16ths on the hi-hat when I'm working on kind of funky stuff and I'm trying to hear every 16th note so I can lock into that. So I'll use that sometimes, but quite often I'm just using the 2 and 4 beat there. Okay, I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of time talking about gig performing, but it's a big part of my environment. So that's all I want to say about that and how I use it. Lots of other videos on YouTube if you're interested in that. Okay, so that's gig performer, and plugin wise, I have been using, as I mentioned before, mostly Arturia stuff. I'm using Arturia stuff, V Collection and Analog Lab. And another reason why I use them is because I love having everything just in one place. And I have sound paints. I have some stuff from Spitfire Audio. I have, what else did I just buy? I have I use Easy Drummer a lot. I have Superior Drummer, but I use Easy Drummer more just because it's just simpler. I don't need to be fiddling around as much. Again, I'm songwriting, so I need stuff to be fast, like ready to go. Quality of sound and the most perfect plug-in sound is not what I need most of the time, because I go back to the studio and I record again with better instruments, sometimes the same ones, but in a better environment. So most of this stuff is just trying to get my ideas down. So in terms of plugins, I am using, let's see what we have here. I'm using some Ample Bass plugins. I don't use a lot of Apple plugins, but there's my Arturia. That's kind of my go-to. I'll use some Sound Paint. Do I have that on here? Yeah, I'll use Sound Paint. I love the disco strings. I do have I have some stuff from Native Instruments, but I'm not a heavy Native Instruments user. I'm using some of their horn sounds. I'm trying to create some horn lines. There's a very interesting plugin called Listen To, which if you need to do remote recording, that's a plugin and a remote recording environment, which I have used, and that's why you see it here. And it works really well. It's just whether or not you want to go through the pain of not having everyone in the same room. But sometimes that's not possible. So Listen To is a great solution for that. What else have I been using here? That's kind of the core. If it's not here, I'm not really using it so much. I don't really use Reason Studios a lot, and I haven't really been using UVI a lot. Again, I'm not knocking any of these guys. It's just I happen to, I guess I quite consciously decided to go to the Arturia route because, again, I love hardware and software integration, and there's other platforms for that. Native Instruments obviously is probably excuse me. Native Instruments is probably the king there, or a big player in the market. But I fell in love with the Arturia stuff, so I've just gone that route. Okay, what else do we have here? So there's another one I just bought. That's the one I just bought. I just bought this Scalar Music plugin during the Black Friday sales. Haven't had a chance to use it yet, but it's going to come in really handy. Scalar Music plugin is basically a music theory textbook in software and live. So I have studied a lot of music theory. I won't claim to know and understand all of it, but I've studied a lot and it can get confusing. So For example, circle of fifths, moving around the circle of fifths and having your chord progression move around within that circle, what movements make sense? Well, I can go and find that on my keyboard. I could do it. It would take me a little while, or I can use something like scalar music and have my circle of fifths up there and just drag and drop and hear what it's going to sound like with the click of a mouse. And I've talked about in some of my other videos how when I'm playing around with harmony, I sometimes don't know what I'm playing harmony-wise, and I need to actually have music teachers or AI help me decide what I'm actually playing. And I think scalar music is going to help me with that. It's going to shed some light on what I'm playing or what things sound like without having to worry about the mechanics. I'm definitely not the world's best keyboard player. I'm going to say I'm an advanced beginner. Yeah, I'd say I'm an advanced beginner. So I can get around, but nowhere near the speed that I need. But the keyboard is what I use mostly to help me visualize what I'm playing. Everything's laid out linearly. I can see how my thirds are moving. I can see how my sevenths are moving. I can see how the chords are moving from one to the other. I play some guitar, learning guitar forever, and I find that much a harder read. Seeing the notes on there and seeing the different shapes, I find the keyboard is all just laid out. So 99% of the time when I'm working on harmony, it's going to be on the keyboard here. So yeah, so that's that. Anything else for the music environment here, plugin wise? Let's go to the other piece. I'm going to close this down because it's hiding behind here. So here again, so I mentioned I use mostly PreSonus gear as much as I can. And so this is a IO44. This is this, I gotta be careful. Is this the smallest? It was the smallest, I think, when I bought this, but it's a very small audio interface. It only has input for one instrument or one mic. We have headphones. I've got output. I've got the output here going to the speaker, and there's my USB 3 going right into the computer. So it's a workhorse. It's a simple kind of a plug and play. And the reason that I bought it mostly is because it's small and simple. It is a bit limiting in that I can only put one instrument in there, so I can only record one at a time. And right now I'm preparing for a recording session, so I've been practicing guitar and voice and vocals every single day. So it means I gotta unplug my microphone. I know it says guitar in there, but I have to unplug my microphone and my guitar in between. Whereas if I have a bigger system, I'm always plugged in and ready to go. But there are definitely some compromises you have to make when you're traveling like this with a portable music studio, as it were. Okay, so that's the audio interface. Let's talk about this thing just because it's here. This is just a wireless guitar system, and I like using it because I don't have to worry about cables. Yeah, I have to worry about keeping this charged up, but it's nice to be able to walk around even in a hotel room without being plugged in. And wires are not necessarily 100% reliable when you're constantly pulling them out of a bag, unrolling them, rolling them back up. I find this actually just faster and easier to work with. It does need to stay charged up. Okay, so the next thing, I know this seems trivial, but it's not. It's super, super important. Okay, so this is my Mophie USB 3 USB charger or power supply, and it has a standard USB. Is that USB-A? But it's got this connector on it, and then it has 3 USB 3 ports on it. 100, 120 watts. So this is what I run everything with. One of them is dedicated right to the Mac. I don't carry the MacBook Pro power supplies. I'm trying to cut down on the number of complexities and reduce the amount of stuff that I have to have. So this is what I run with, and yeah, nothing crazy about that. I'm not sure if this is still available, if they still make it, but there's lots of other ones that are compatible. Back over to the keyboard. This is the Arturia Keylab. This is the Arturia Keylab 49, and serves me well. This is, sorry, it's the Keylab 49 Essential. So 49 keys and works just fine. There's no weighted action on this. It's just got a bass sound on there as well. But it's a straightforward keyboard. Again, simple. I don't need to have the fanciest thing, and it's also really light. So in terms of portability and airport check-in fees, it's not offending anything. It's not too offensive to carry around. So I enjoy this quite a bit. As I mentioned, I don't know how many of these I have. I think I have about 4 of them in different parts of the world. So for example, I'm in Asia right now, and this keyboard is actually going to stay here. And I'll see it next time I come back here. So I don't actually have to lug this all the way back. This is actually going to stay here, and it will be here ready for me. In fact, there's a whole set of stuff that's going to stay here. So this keyboard is going to stay here, and so is this speaker and a bunch of connectors, which we'll get to in a little bit. Okay, so this is my Arturia Keylab 49 Essential. Does everything I need it to do. Again, we have the transport controls. It has sliders to be mapped to whatever you want it to. I don't get into that too much. I probably should configure my gig performer to manage some of the parameters. For example, tempo. I have that mapped. I don't think I have it. Oh, I do have it mapped. So I have this button here, sorry, this rotary here mapped to the tempo. So when I'm playing and I need to play faster, I've got all that there. Again, the use case is I've got a guitar slung over me, and I don't want to be coming up to my computer to mess around with it. So I've got it mapped to here. And again, the other keyboards that I have, again, I have multiple of these keyboards. I have also, in my bigger environments, I run the Arturia Keylab 88, the full weighted version, not the Essential. And I have a similar system, so it maps to, I've got it mapped similarly using Gig Performer. Okay, so that's the keyboard. I just noticed I forgot about these guys here. So these are the NT100 Rode headphones. And so they work fine. They work especially for my needs. And because transport and everything is so important for me, I've got them in a, this is a Geek Ria case that I got off Amazon. So they'll go in here and they fit nicely. It's kind of a hard case, takes up a lot of room, but gotta look after your headphones. So that's the NT100 headphones. They, however, are getting fired. I'm really picky, and if there's anything that kind of slow me down or get in my way, it's out. Like I was talking about those plugins. I like the sound of these, I like the comfort of them. The problem is they got it 99% right, and the 1% is killing the whole thing. So for me, this cable, it's this rubber, but it's very sticky. So it catches on your clothes, it catches under everything. It attracts whatever it can to stick to it, and then this thing gets all curled up and bundled up, and it's just a mess. And I've tried looking all over for a solution, trying to find a way to put some, what do they call it, cable wrap onto here. And yeah, I guess I could do that, but I've decided I'm moving over to Atom Audio headphones. I've got a pair of those on order, and I will be moving over to those. I actually have a pair and decided that, yeah, I'm gonna swap those out, swap this out for those. Nothing bad to say about the headphones other than this thing for me, but it's enough. I'm practicing, and this cable, I'm practicing or recording, and this cable is catching on my clothes and just being really uncomfortable. And when you're recording, that's the last thing you want to be worried about. I mean, having a cable hanging off your body is enough, but having a cable that sticks to you and is really hard to manage, again, so unfortunately, those are not going to be traveling with me for too much longer. Anybody wants to buy them, let me know. Okay, so those are headphones. Coming back over here, I have this sound bar. It took me a while to find this, or to find a solution for what I wanted. This is the CR3. I'm gonna actually just check that, make sure my memory is serving me correctly. So this is a Mackie CR3. It is a power bar slash speaker. I was originally gonna go with a TV style power bar. Sorry, did I say power bar? Sound bar. I was originally gonna go with a TV style sound bar, but I decided to go this route because obviously Mackie is a music equipment company. So I decided to go this route. Doesn't sound bad. I think there's a driver here and a driver here, so you have a little bit of separation. It also works as a as Bluetooth, and so I've got my power there, and I've got my audio out coming out of here, and I think you can do audio out as well to another device. But this oh, just lost our video. We are working in tight spaces here. Okay, so that's the my monitoring system. Guitar, everything comes out of there. I don't have room for anything more. I would actually love to have, Atom Audio has a small set of speakers where I can have them obviously farther apart. I would love to have those, but it's all about volume in that suitcase. You've seen my suitcases, and I cannot fit those comfortably in my setup. And it's harder for me to set them up. There's 2 of them now, and there's just more touch points. So I've stuck with this. It serves my purpose just fine, and no complaints. I would love to have some separation, but when you're on the road, you got to make some compromises, and that's what I've settled on there. What other gear do I have here that's really important? I think that's it. Oh, hang on. So we've got the kind of the star of the show. Just before we get to that, I thought I would cut this video into part 2. So click the link above or below and check out part 2. I just thought this video was getting a little too long.